So now that Kaiser's a general win percentage to 72, when Sam Wise is playing, obviously there's much more active players there, so you had that kind of natural PR inflation, I guess. There's just more players playing the game to kind of farm that PR off of. Um, I think Kaiserklein, he dropped one game versus Maito, was it? So, well done Maito for picking up the single game versus Kaiserklein. You're the best of the rest at the moment, it seems like. I wonder if Kaiserklein will drop another game throughout the remainder of the series.
Well, yeah, but there you go. He's back, and gonna go straight into it. Um, and Kaiser, I guess he chooses France to Brit, which is a pretty standard matchup, but is Aizamk playing, so we probably expect him to, I don't know, go through Grenadiers or something weird. But yeah, should be a really good game to watch if Aizamk does what he normally does and just does random strats and somehow wins.
Yeah, Brigadier versus a general, like Aizamk is so outclassed in the ranking here. Like you think Brigadier is so high, but in this matchup, it's not.
Well, I mean, I think both players can beat each other. It's not like Kaiser outclasses Aizamk by a stupid amount, really. But
Well, we'll find out,
we'll
won't
find
we?
out, yeah. But it is a wood start. So obviously, I think France will be happy about that. We'll be able to go put a training post down in the centre of a map or just whatever. This is one of the newer maps. If you haven't seen it, I think is it called Fraser River or
It
something?
is indeed.
And a lot of the hunt and a lot of the resources are in the middle map here, which you want to try and sort of get hold of early on. And obviously the training post line is really, really important. But went to what Ace does say. It does pick up 50 food. And as a British in the top here, does go for 2 manas straight away.
Yeah, this map is essentially a revised version, a balanced version, and a redesigned version of the RE Rockies, which we was talking about early in the stream. I really like this map in terms of how it plays out, and aesthetically, I think it's a very nice looking map. We do see Aizamk working on a native scout treasure, getting a couple good shots on the Cougar, kiting really well, and actually managing to pick this treasure off without losing much HP there. So well done from Aizamk there. Kaiserklein taking his forward trading post much closer to his town centre to start off with, but also denies the possibility of Aizamk stealing that TP if Kaiser went for that back train post, which I think most people would have initially would just go for this back defensive train post. But I actually like Kaiser's picking that forward one. Would have got that earlier XP pass due to the orientation of where this trading route goes, and just gives that line of sight in the middle of the map early on. Very useful.
Yeah, I didn't realise this map actually snows. I don't think there's a single other map where it does actually snow, which is pretty cool. But yeah, as you said, he went for the middle TP there, which is a bit more aggressive. Obviously, if you go for the bottom TP, I think you get the pass slightly slower. But that middle TP means that if Brit goes for something really aggressive in Age 2, it might go down quite quickly. If Kaiser doesn't as well, go for an Age 2 play. But Kaiser gonna pick up 90 coin, which is nice. You get that hunting dog slightly quicker as France because of it, and obviously you can use that. Just generally, coin is very good for France, and once you get up to the next age, he is still aging though, so a food treasure would be better at this point. Let's look at the decks of both players. Aizamk actually having a very standard British deck. It's not really much to talk about there. I think that's probably the most standard A's deck I've ever seen. Maybe CM not being something you see too often in the British deck, but yeah, pretty standard as a whole.
Well, he does have the Glorious Revolution, as well as 20 longbows. Those two cards in specific you don't see too often there. Also has 9 musketeers instead of yeomanry or any other eco card in the third age. So some interesting choices from Aizamk. Maybe we'll see some sort of FI Highlanders, Rogers Rangers, backed up with some longbows. Who knows? We'll have to find out.
If anything, it's Kaiser's deck, which is the weirdest. Kaiser's got an FI deck. He's got 4 culverins there, 2 heavy cannons, 6 cuirassiers, and 14 skirmishes. I mean, Kaiser's deck's the one who's unstandard here, actually. It's pretty insane that Ace has got the standard deck and Kaiser hasn't. Both players edging up at roughly similar times, to be expected, really. Ace does nearly have another shipment in. Actually, I think he probably did have a shipment in already. Oh no, because Kaiser's got the training post, yeah. So Ace doesn't have a shipment in, so he wouldn't have sent VC yet if he did want to send it. Wouldn't be surprised if he did send VC. He isn't. But he's putting down manas already, so that tells me he probably isn't going to. And Kaiser, yeah, just doing standard stuff, doing France's normal stuff.
I think A's wanted to try and steal this training post down to the south off of Kaiser, but Kaiser going straight to this training post, locking down that 2 TP control over the southern route, and so should be able to go for the early stagecoach. Looking at Kaiser's deck, as you say, I think he's taking inspiration from his fellow AoE3 player, Maito, where Maito went for a fast industrial versus the last Samurai, I believe, in Tuparo, a French versus Brit game, and successfully winning as the French in an FI situation. Doesn't have 5 cuirassiers in deck, but has 6 cuirassiers, 2 heavy cannons. I've never seen 4 culverins be sent in a competitive game before, but I think it's a very smart choice, especially if you've got the heavy cannons out in the field. 4 culverins should be able to shut down any artillery pressure from Aizamk to try and contest those heavy cannons, and you just mass guard musks behind those heavy cannons. But we have to see if Kaiser's going to follow through with his FI strat, or whether A's puts enough pressure to kind of sway him off his strat.
But yeah, A's going down with a nuka post here. But by the looks of it, he's going to do a bit like what Callan did last time. Aged up with the food. Does have a couple of nuka coming out straight away. Obviously, if you look at the nuka's what are they called? Nuka's technologies that you can research. You do have a Nuka War Chief, which actually is really strong. It's quite expensive to actually train though. This Nuka Potlatch is actually a really strong shipment if you're gonna, or not shipment, a good technology. If you're actually gonna train a lot of Nuka, it reduces the cost of Nuka. It also makes them train a lot faster. But I don't think Ace is gonna go for all that. But he is going to take down this training post really quickly, and it's sort of testament to how good those Nuka are at sieging, as you said earlier.
But he's already built 9 nukas, and that's essentially 780 food, 130 wood. It's a big investment to take down his 2 training posts, like a lot of resources. But tactically, it's just given Aizamk that little bit of an edge. He should be able to finish off that other training post before his reinforcements overwhelmed. But I guess 5 musks now being trained out to push back the nukas. But Kaiser never wanted to train his musketeers. Like, he wanted to try and go 4-vil, 700 wood, fast fortress without a unit trained.
Yeah, and A's actually is going to have a couple of longbow come out for himself. Does have a lot of wood here, even booming behind us. Yeah, I think a couple of longbow are going to come out. Ooh, a villager might die here. It is 6 musketeers to kill a villager, if I recall correctly. Nice split there from Kaiser. You can see him just taking enough units just to kill one villager and then trying to get a little bit of damage on the other one. But longbows do pop out, although they're really bad at sort of running after units because of just how awful their animation is. But this does give A's the opportunity to get that TP down when he wants to, and he needs to pull forward those longbows actually. But actually, if he's Nuka, I'm just going to go on these musketeers and go take them out themselves. But a couple of them musketeers at the back probably will scare them away in just a second.
Yeah, these reinforced musketeers should get enough nice trade. We still have a few musketeers in A's base being rather annoying so far. They have picked off 2 villagers, which you have seen gone down, working on a third, which is actually quite away from town centre, but A's managing to remember to get his great coats after losing those 2 villagers and managing to protect another villager in his base, so managing to pick off all his musketeers with only losing a small portion of his eco, and even sending his Cardor 700 wood, 600 wood, 5 vils. A's eco is looking in a good place, and that simple nuka play, 10 nukas, has really thrown Kaiser off his game plan.
Yeah, Kaiser having to go age 2 here, as I said, and a couple of longbows actually do stop those musketeers from really doing a lot of work against those nuka, which is what they want to do. He's actually stopping making nuka, and is going to be putting into musketeers of his own now. He got that training post down, got a lot of use out of them. Forced Kaiser to go for that age 2 player, as you said, but now Kaiser is going to age himself. Does have 300 wooden bank as well, which he will be able to use for some military buildings of his own. This is all my fault for not getting great coats, and yeah, maybe so. He's actually losing 2 villagers there, which isn't the greatest.
I try my best not to say, but like, he's not got his great coats. He's got to lose a villager.
Yeah, it's such a good tech. 100 food for, was it 65% extra HP on those sets?
It's 75 food for plus 35%.
Oh, did he get buffed?
Because 35 is 150 to 202.
Yeah. But did the cost get buffed? It used to be 100 food, didn't it?
No, I swear it's always been 75 food. It's a blunderbuss which costed 100. It used to cost 110, but was reduced down to 75 as well.
Oh,
So blunderbuss and Great Coast cost the same. And for the French Civ, getting blunderbuss is always, it feels very strong. So your CDBs would have 11 attack and a 16 range.
yeah,
Other
it's the
other
range
bills would
which
just
is
have the
massive.
6 range attack and the 16 range.
Yeah, and it's really the range makes a difference there. But by the looks of it, a French settler gonna go down. Well, not a settler, CDB. I don't know where he was going. He'd sort of just be wandering around the map doing nothing. But yeah, I mean, A's now in the opportunity, in the time
Oh,
where he can take
my bad.
down. Oh, yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah, he was trying to get the elk he was running past, but as soon as he saw the units, he just tried to run in the opposite direction. And I guess the fact that he ran that CDB to the north has just bought Kaiserklein that little bit extra time, considering that now he's in the next stage. This native scout from A's, though, has seen this nice musketeer mass from Kaiserklein and has scouted that Kaiser's producing more musketeers, most likely going to veteran musketeers from A's point of view. He is researching it and should come in just a second, so A's will see this behind, and this is enough units to which Kaiser has to defensively go to the fourth age if he wants, but also Vet Musks are the perfect units to cover two Falconets, and that is the shipment that Kaiser Klein has opted to go for here. And I think A's, I don't think he's going to see the, I don't think he will see the Falconets, but he does see those Vet Musketeers have moved on, and that should be a good enough sign for A's to realize what's going on. He's now moving his scout to go with the villagers who are pushing out for more resources.
Yeah, and that scout giving a lot of information for both players. Actually, the native scout for France was in the middle as well. Even now pushing up into Asia's base, but a bit of a wall going down there. If that native scout sits in that wall won't go up. But luckily for him, that villager doing a bit of Age of Empires 2-esque quick walling and keeping those all up. Although they will go down basically instantaneously because of the 4x multiplier on siege. There you go. one flaming torch takes them down. And A's going to be pushing forward. No, K's are going to be pushing forward of two Falconets and a number of musketeers here. But
actually, time out. Look at Kaiser's bank and shipment progression. He's pushing out, but the fact that he's pushing is giving A's this false sense of Kaiser's strat. Kaiser's just happy to go 1,000 coin behind this. He's just here for the houses and market and experience. Like, he's happily sieging down his manor houses from Brits, getting 81 XP per time, and getting another couple shipments ready. So when he does go to the fourth age, he can send the shipments like 2 heavy cannons and then the 2 factories behind.
yeah, and A's does have a couple of culverins in queue. Does have a Falconets out, which is quite nice. And yeah, he does get one culverin out of his own. And there's just a lot of longbow here. Longbow basically mixed to those musketeers. If we look at military units as a whole, A's is ahead on military unit and ahead on the eco there. And Kaiser actually doesn't have too many shipments ready. Does have 131, 81 experience until he gets his next shipment, which will be shipment 7. And I think what he's probably going to do is either going to go for the 6 cuirassiers or the 2 heavy cannon shipment and use that to push out. And at the same time, A's, I don't think he wants to age himself. He just wants to mass and try and get probably more culverins that will probably benefit him.
Yeah, actually, the 6 cuirassier shipment, as you mentioned, is exceptionally strong, especially early on in the game. I think Kaiser has, used his native scout. Probably is aware of a few longbowmen present, but we'll be seeing there's a few longbowmen in this army. Those musketeers need to retreat from Kaiser. Now he's seeing what's going on. A couple of Falconets out of as well, but the culverin was nearby from A's. In the background, unpacked, just waiting for any Falconets coming in for a cheeky volley, but A's looks like he's one step ahead here, but good volley from Kaiser, trading off 1 for 1, but that culverin, though, is in range to that one Falconet. A's is going to win this Falcon War, looks like.
Yeah, and actually he got it before that Falconet got another shot off, which is quite important here. It does get up to the next stage, but a decent chunk of the mass of Kaiser actually going down here. And A's, I think, probably going to put some more culverins in queue because of this. He does have 1,600 coin himself stacked, and by the looks of it, he probably is going to age that way as well. Culverin does ward off those 2 Falconets, but again, he needs to get back with his army here. And probably age up himself, but he's going to be on the back foot simply because Kaiser will be able to age. Culverin doing some damage to that market, but again, Culverins have pretty pathetic damage on anything which isn't artillery or ships. Only 40, even doing 50 damages, 20 damages versus cavalry, which is especially dreadful. But yeah, Kaiser even getting pushed off here, even though he does have the advantage here. Full Culverins, a shipment I think probably the first time we've seen in a long time being shipped for France here. But it is a strong shipment actually. 2,000 resources in essence, really. But A's picking up a lot of those villagers there, and 2 falconets. A's realizes that the Culvers are out, and he just walks away with his Culver on his own. And units in queue, has a church in queue, so we might see some of those Roger Rangers coming out, the Glorious Revolution and the Highlanders.
Well, Ace is going to the Industrial Age. He's going to follow Kaiser up and will be going for the Roger Rangers, as you said. I'm surprised Ace doesn't have El Messi in his deck. That's a card he usually does favour in these sorts of situations. But 4 Culverins first out from Kaiser, and the General is showing the OP strats that the French FI use, and Maito would have preferred a curious air start, or maybe the heavy cannons to try and deal with any cannons that Ace is going. But Ace sees these Culverins, wants to try and trade off his food-heavy units as much he can versus these coin-heavy units of the Culverin, but only picking off 2 of these artillery pieces. Culverins having much more HP than Falconets.
As 3 musketeers here have done so much work in Ace's base, just taking out villagers. 10 villagers going down for Ace now total, which is pretty huge actually. When you look at the military unit the economic unit population, he would be 10 ahead. Ace now sending the Glorious Revolution. I assume he's aging up with the if you look at text being researched, he's aging up with the engineer actually, which is the 2 falconets if I recall correctly, which I don't think is. It's not bad. I mean, you can trade those off of the falconets that Kaiser has, but Kaiser is going to have those 2 heavy cannons in, or some of the factories in at this point. And I think A's might want to go. Well, he needs more Culverins, right? Even if he gets out the if he gets 2 more Culverins out here, well, it's probably 3 out actually because of the heavy cannons. He should be fine, but. Yeah, this is a tricky spot for A's really, because his push from France is so strong, especially those now Guard musketeers coming in. And one thing to note is A's has quite, basically a struggle to get those Guard upgrades in for British, don't you? Because of the cost, 1,000 wood, 1,000 coin is quite significant for those Redcoat musketeers.
Soon A's will just struggle to get resources full stop, especially with this push coming in. You need 3 Culverins to one-shot a heavy cannon. That's why he went overkill on those Culverins with his musketeers to try and trade these guys off. So he knew he was aging up with the engineer behind this. But 2 Falconers from the age up is just going to get trampled over by these 2 Culverins remaining and 2 Falconets. Looking at text being researched, we do see Highlanders out, and he's going to go straight into hand to combat versus the heavy cannons. But I feel the heavy cannons should be able to pick off a couple. But
no, I think they're going to go down. They're going to go down.
It's a pick up and a half.
The Highlanders from the church in. Oh, Rogers Rangers coming in. That's 20 I think 28 skirmishers or something ridiculous. Only one of these falconets is alive. We look at units in queue for A's. Doesn't actually have any units in queue, but he does have text being researched at the same time. Does have counter infantry rifling. There's the Rogers Rangers. I think it's 22 or 26 Rogers Rangers, and these do have counter infantry rifling in just a second. These are basically Guard skirmishers. Those heavy artillery going down for the for Kaiserklein, and those heavy cannons going down from the Black Watch there, I think may have spelled the end for Kaiser. He might even... A wall going down for A's is going to quick wall like in Age of Empires 2 again.
This is going to be tough if he does. He's sending a few vills to wall here. He's sending all the vills on top side to try and wall and try and cut these guys off. He will lose a few vills to the Guard musks, but if you can pick off all his 10 Guard musks, certainly worthwhile. Pathing his musks for a small gap as well. A couple of Highlanders out front to try and snare. Guard scums coming up behind with their Guard stats and counter infantry. These guys doing 66 damage per shot and will full shot these musketeers, and these muskets are going to fall over very, very quickly.
Yeah, all the musks down, Kaiser down on the military population. A's does have an insane score, but that's pretty disingenuous basically. But yeah, Kaiser needs artillery here, and if we're looking at us in queue, does have a factory going up. Both players now sending factories, but Ace does still have the ability to send those what are they called? Does have the ability to send the it doesn't even have them in deck, so disregard what I was saying. It doesn't have the rockets in deck, but does have the 2 factories. Probably just going to send more factories here. and might even just be producing. I have to see what those factories are doing. They're just producing coin at the moment. Doesn't have any upgrade, so probably wants to get that. But I wouldn't be surprised if A switched into sort of a falconet composition here, because he's got the Rogers Rangers and the skirmishes to defend them.
A's is pushing out right now, but if Kaiser pushes A's at the same time, A's villagers, they've got the nuclear bark clothing on them at the moment, and their HP stat is 277. Forget the great coach jokes. A's settlers are like got body armor on. They've got some
Yeah, bit of bark around the edges apparently gives you 65 more HP. Those villagers, but a number of these CDBs going down there. These don't have nuclear bark clothing on them. Actually, they'd be insane if they did 300. They have 384 HP when you send pioneers as well. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, A's picking up a number of those settlers, and now the eco population is now equal. Although saying that, A's does have a factory, so I think he's lost a number of more settlers. Yeah, A's losing 22 settlers this game, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, so he lost a few when those 2 falconets, 2 heavy cannons, 2 culverins, as well as all those guard musketeers came in. I think a few of those villagers were just trying at the north tank in to keep the remainder of his vet longbow army alive. So he's lost quite a few units, but 2 factories now, slightly ahead of the progression from Kaiserklein. Second town centre being dropped from Aizamk, but it feels like A's is going to run out of natural resources before Kaiser will, and that is actually going to be very, very impactful in this match at the moment. Another couple of culverins being trained here from Kaiserklein, and it looks like this. It seems like culverin's been the most made artillery unit in this game, which we don't often see behind this. So the second factory now in from Kaiser. What are Kaiserklein's remaining options in the 4th age? It's the 14 skirmishes or the 6 cuirassiers, and considering that there's an army of guard skirmishes running around, it would have to be the cuirassiers next card.
He's even going for Culvers here, and also some, by the looks of it, a Hussar switch. Although notably, the Hussar switch for British is quite hard to do, simply because you have the guard upgrade is more costly. It is the Royal Guard upgrade, so it's the King's. I think they're called King's Own Hussars, or something. King's Life Guard.
The King's Life Guard Hussars.
Yeah, which is in reference to a British cavalry unit, which still protects the Queen. Actually, funny enough, but yeah, I mean. If 6 cuirassiers come in here, especially with a heavy cannon in the back here, but they're going to do really well. But there is 3 culverins to raise. Now with Culverin Royale coming in, Kaiser not getting that himself. Culverin Royale actually is a pretty decent upgrade to get there. Only 500 resources, and it gives culverins an extra shot on from other culverins, basically, which is pretty important.
I think A's will be very happy to see this heavy cannon here from Kaiser. Obviously, the only way you can train heavy cannons is from the factory, but if you've got 3 the 3 culverins, these one-shot heavy cannons, and just all those resources from that factory you could have had instead is just going to go down straight away to these culverins. Didn't really finish off that volley. Okay, there's the extra shot coming in, so heavy cannons down. Culverin Royale's extra HP can tank a culverin shot as well, and he's going to win this culverin war quite comfortably. Still, Roger Rangers still on the field for Aizamk, and it feels like A's is somewhat showing Kaiser that do not mess with the Brigadiers. They're still a force to be reckoned with. And Kaiser, A's is in a good place.
Actually, the Culverin Royale, I think, probably won him the battle there. Is actually the other Culverin's going to go down if the skirmishers get another shot off. They're slightly too slow. A's grouping all his units there. Probably should have got the Hussars out just to get a couple of hits off and take down that Culverin. But yeah, I mean, A's not producing any artillery of his own. Building a dock in this little pond, so we might see some monitors coming out here. Bit of a raid coming in. Does spot that second town centre, which is quite important. Kaiser actually ahead. No, Kaiser actually equal on eco there. But now getting in more and more heavy cannons out, and if he can get a massive culverins out, win that culverin war, especially if he gets culverin royale, and with heavy cannons it just demolishes his army. His army is only skirmishes basically, with a couple of Roger Rangers and a bit of cavalry in there.
At the moment, there is nothing which Kaiser can do versus this Vet Hussar. His army is that infantry composition slowly walking across to the east-hand side of the map to defend his vills. But big raid left side, though. He's opened up the door for a backdoor raid, and we do see 3 Hussars on top of the CDBs. A couple of CDBs running away, but 3 Hussars should be able to chase these guys down, and the rest of the army is just going to pull back. So Ace is just moving in, stinging Kaiser where it hurts, and just retreating before Kaiser can react. And all these musketeers are now stopped moving to the right hand side, now going to push through the center, but that docks out. We do see a monitor coming up, and with the monitor special ability, should be able to nuke a few culverins from Kaiser.
Although, because it's in that little pond, there's not a huge amount it can do in regards to not dying from the culverins. Aizamk did send 20 longbow, but 20 longbow versus now the 6 Cuirassiers. I think because it's Cuirassiers just beat this, and the culverins are so close. If you get the special off, does take out a culverin of those, but it just insta-dies to the volley, and those Cuirassiers are just going to dominate. Does take out a heavy cannon. Oh no, he doesn't actually. If he's getting another shot off on that heavy cannon. Oh, no, takes out a culverin. Nice culverin control there from Kaiser. And from Ace, actually. But, again, I think Ace just loses here because of the lack of anti-cavalry. Does have veteran hussars, but veteran hussars against what I suspect to be gendarmes.
No, there's the AoE3 units at the moment. Vet Huss is just running through the entire army, just chilling out, going for the hero pickup there, but not managing to pick up that heavy cannon on 80 HP. Guard longbow is now being researched from A's. Unfortunately, to micro these guys, they're in range of muskets. Needs to pull them back and get out the range, and needs to try and push in with a two-pronged attack from both armies at the time being. 4 more hussars being trained, 5 hussars shipped, and 4 joined from the army left side. There's 15 hussars out in the field at the moment for A's, and this could be a big, 5 hussars coming from the main base as well. He's just going to go on top of these cannons, pick them off. Skirms moving in to try and pick off the musks while they're defending the cavalry, and this cavalry play from A's has certainly picked up 2 heavy cannons, maybe a culverin, but another reinforcing heavy cannon here is not really what Aizamk wanted to see. He's already spent his cavalry push to try and pick the cannons up, but there's more cannons coming.
There's enough culverins there with Culverin Royale to take out a number of Ace's culverins if he does make them. He's only just now making another dock, which I think is probably going to go down pretty quickly. Heavy cannon seeing it. This is still a pretty dire situation for A's. Guard musketeers are so strong, and now Cuirassiers now being trained. It's just not good for A's at all, is it really, at this point? He's now
it's looking tough. But the fact that his eco is still gathering means that he can remass, he's still in it. Until Kaiserklein actually starts pushing the resources, that's when we're going to start seeing things get a little bit more hairy for A's. And I think A's only having 3 cards in the 4th age is actually starting to really hurt himself. While Kaiser's still got the 14 skirms to send, and 14 skirms underneath this army would actually do quite well, it feels like.
Yeah, 14 skirms on this army do well, but they're just going to get dominated by the hussars. Like with Cuirassiers and the heavy cannons, and a number of villagers going down for A's now. But those culverins not going to be doing too well against. Actually, there's a lot of heavy cannons here, but I think they're just going to get pushed by the guard musketeers, and they're just going to go down at the end of the day.
Now that there's a few Cuirassiers out, I'm still not seeing any stable down from Kaiserklein or a change into Cuirassier production. That 6 Cuirassier shipment actually done a lot of damage there, and I feel that if he could have sent another 5, or if he had the 5 Cuirassiers in deck and could have reset that instead of the what it's in, then that could be even better. But that was such an interesting game, interesting strats. But I thought A's played that once he realized what was up, just played the defense really well.
Yeah. And really, Kaiser just showing up because he had more shipments in Age 4. I think that ended up winning them the game at the end of the day, because since Cuirassiers is such a strong shipment compared to 5 hussars, it's just pathetic compared to it. Especially 20 longbows. 20 longbows is quite a good shipment, but longbows in this matchup, I don't think are really too useful about that. You can see the players talking about it there. But A's losing the first game, Kaiser going 1-up, but it was a very close game. Sort of back and forth. Kaiser losing his heavy cannons to a couple of black watches at 25 minutes or 20 minutes, I think it was when they got up. And that's sort of maybe, not even 20, 15 minutes, A's getting an amazing fight, which he shouldn't have been able to get when Kaiser had that push of 4 culverins and whatnot. And ultimately, though, Kaiser showing that the French FI may be slightly better than the British FI once you account for no 2 infinite rockets or anything like that in deck.
Yeah, even before against the 4th age, A's sacrificed a lot of those musketeers to try and pick off the culverins to cover for the falconets age up in the next in that fourth age, but the fact that he picked off 2 culverins, 2 culves are still alive for Kaiserklein, and when he pushed in with the 2 falcon, 2 culve, 2 heavy cannons, he still had those culverins to deal with Aizank's artillery, which he had. But that Black Watch shipment came out, managed to pick off those heavy cannons for free, was such a nice pickup, and then from then the game felt evenly poised. I liked the dock and monitor play, managed to pick off a culverin there and then, but unfortunately, because the time it took for the monitor to train, that army had moved on top of that dock, that monitor really didn't get the value it really wanted to get out of, and Kaiser still had artillery present, and I think at that point, that kind of it just didn't feel that there was enough impetus behind this. A's could have gone for rockets, instead of resources. And last time I remembered, I feel that rockets do pretty decently versus heavy cannons. I may be incorrect in saying that. But we could have.
Rockets are better versus just general stuff, but heavy cannons are better versus infantry. So rockets do slightly better versus heavy cannons as a whole, but it's not like it's massively in favour of one side. But yeah, if A's had 3 rockets, I think he would have been fine.
Yes.
Right, I'll be back in 1 minute.
But yeah, by the looks of it, Kaiser picking Dutch. One of his better civs, I think. But A's gonna pick counter pick as it is New World Championship rules, of course. Oh, A's picking China against Dutch, which is quite an interesting matchup. Actually, we don't see it too often. A's has a deck called Tournament Play, which is just improved buildings, good faith agreement, snatch for a pebble, diplomatic intrigue, Confucius gift, and Great Wall. Just 6 cards in a single deck. Quite impressive. I think Kaiser and A's are quite used to playing against each other really as a whole. But how many decks does A's have? It's insane. Look at this one. Emperor's Army, Ever Victorious Army. Not a bad card actually for 2,000 food. But I have to see what A's does. Kaiser,
Yes.
obviously known for playing quite standard. Did just play non-standard in that match. Your back has.
Absolute lovely saying monitors cost 1,200. No, they were reduced a little bit, only 800 resources, 600 wood, 200 coin. Nearly could have got 2 culverins with their special ability, but I only picked off 1, so that was why I thought it was a pretty decent play.
Florida for this map. Quite interesting. Not a map we actually see too often now. Oh, actually, no, it isn't a tournament map pool, isn't it, Florida? But by the looks of it, A is going to be picking up a 40 food treasure. It is a wood start for China, which is really good for China. Allows him to get some, a trading post up, right? I think it's a wood start. Is it just... No, it's not a wood start. It's just a normal start. But A's is going to go for a trading post, I believe. Picking up some sheep as well. Sheep are really good on this map. And a Dutch player, I think, probably going to go for hunting dogs straight away. Yeah, hunting dogs coming in for Dutch. And just going to be doing a standard build for Kaiser. Probably going to be buying some wood from that market. I think that's probably the smarter thing to do as Dutch, if he doesn't chop 50 wood.
Yes, certainly, especially with Dutch having much faster coin-based gather rate as well, and the fact that you're buying wood for the house, but you still have some wood left over for that bank in transition. It's going to help the Dutch Much better. And on this map, the fact that you start off with a market is just super nice for Dutch. You could even actually mine your coin in transition to buy the wood required for your bank, which is slightly faster. You have to remember how much coin you do use means less coin to play with later on, but you do have a defensive coin mine as well. And then with all your banks, should have enough coin moving forwards.
Kaiser missed. Kaiser didn't mind a single. He mismined one coin. There you go. He's just gonna go back and get it. But what is Kaiser doing here? He's gonna be popped in just a second when his villager comes out. So
We gotta get this wood treasure. This is smart from Kaiser.
why. Yeah, he's gonna pick up the wood treasure.
I think he was wanting to buy some wood because it's not the end of the world because you can use that wood later on. But the fact that you've got that 80 wood treasure means you just stop. You just don't need any more coin for the vills, and you're just it's business as usual. And a nice start here.
Yeah, Kaiser. I don't know why he was humming. Other housing, he housed himself. That's not too good. But he is going to age up normally as Dutch. Obviously, Dutch likes to go for 15 villagers, right, as their age. Kaiser having a pretty standard deck here. Does have Swiss pikemen in the deck. Maybe the I forgot what they're called now. The what are they called? It's like they're like the Ulan cards, right? The
Hacker bells.
6 hacker bells, which is the other thing you can use, or 7 black riders, which is worse. It does have 3 flutes in deck, or floits, or however you say them, which are quite strong. That's an age 3 card. A's, obviously A's is an unstandard deck, does have old hand reforms in there, or it's actually called old dynasty reforms now, it's been changed. It does have the Mongolian Scourge card, which allows some of your units to do better damage. Iron Flails end up doing better damage versus light infantry, but a big one there is Step Riders are better. Doesn't have any other Step Rider cards in deck, so that's not something you might see, but it does have good faith agreement, so you might go for the Russian consulate build, which is actually one I'm particularly favourable of myself. Also, he went for two villagers.
Yeah, I'm looking at A's deck. Also, okay, he got for 3 villages because he went for a second village instead of a trading post, which makes that unlikely to see good faith agreements in this game. Having said that, though, he's currently got no card in his bank, which means he's just sent another card in age 1. That's what it appears to be. So we could be seeing either a 300 wood or a good faith. So the 300 wood could then throw down a trading post and help you maybe get a few market techs, which could be quite nice, or the good faith agreements to go for the advanced consulate. Only a couple cards in Age 4, though. I feel that China does very well versus Dutch if they go to the 4th age and FI, but I don't think A's is looking to do that this game.
Cheating. I don't know why he's cheating, but yeah, I don't think A's is going to FI. He did just take out the shipment, which was in queue, but Kaiser going for the most standard Dutch build I've ever seen, except from that Monk. It's not obviously did go for Gangsaw as well, actually, so he's going to have a slightly slower bank. But that bank's still going to go up just in time for the next stage. And he's also just got enough coin from that silver mine for a villager as soon as he ages up. So Kaiser's actually macroing perfectly. And probably going to be sending 700 wood as his first card. I would not be surprised if there's anything else. Ace doesn't have anything to do with water in his deck. So he's just going up with a standard Summer Palace set. But he is chopping a lot of wood here, which signals to me he's either going to go for TP in transition or go for something aggressive, and those 3 villagers forward tells me it's going to be something aggressive.
Yeah, that's a rest in peace moment. Kaiserklein being in the right place at the right time, seeing 3 villas forward. You don't normally see villagers forward, and 3 of them, usually you want 3 villas if you're building a building which takes a long time to build, and one of those buildings is a castle. And so castles coming up mid-map. Castles produce the flamethrowers. I don't believe they still produce any other units banners in the second age.
Maybe not in the second age. They do produce what are they called? Mortars. The small ones are hand mortars, and they also produce like the Black Flag Army or something.
Yeah, Black Flag, 2 meteors, 4 Changdaos, which is quite a nice unit batch. One I always keep forgetting to include into my games as well. But I think Kaiser is aware that he's going to have some units in his base. So Bankwagon first card from Kaiser instead, which I find a little bit interesting. What's he spent that wood on? Because you would have spent that wood on other stuff behind this, and it looks like it wasn't another bank. Okay, side stable. That's what I'm looking for. And so it looks like Kaiserklein is also going for a raising play himself, but make sure he has units out in the field. Actually, we do see a banner army being trained from Aizamk.
Yeah, so if you look at Aizamk's cards here, he's Well, that's the Keshiks and the Flamethrower one. So it gives you, I think, 3 Keshiks. Oh, no, it's not. It's Step Riders and Keshiks, apparently.
I thought this was removed. I thought they took this out, but
No,
two
it's...
Keshiks we trained on multiple occasions, and that's going to give a perfect army counter to what Kaiser's doing. Steppies to snare, Keshiks to pick these guys off, but only 4 units at the moment won't be enough to deal with this. But 9 Kang Pikemen out is going to be enough to deal with this, though.
Yeah, he's going to clean those Hussars. Keshiks do have more speed as well as the Step Riders, actually, than Hussars. So they should be able to snare if he gets the hit off. Yeah, he's going to get the hit off right now. There you go, he gets the snare, and Step Riders obviously do decently against Hussars now. 8 times 3, they do have the same speed as the Cavalry Archers on Defense and Resignation. So effectively 16 times 3 against Hussars when they get to actually attack them. But this grouping from A's means 2 Hussars can escape. And Kaiser going to go for a dock. So by the looks of it, Kaiser is going on non-standard as Dutch. So we saw him go non-standard as France, and I think that's how he sort of wants to play against A's now, sort of A's, if you will.
I think Kaiser realizes that A's is going not all in, but will be staying in the second stage, and I think Kaiser thinking, right, I have the better eco behind this because I'm playing as the Dutch. I still have both my wood shipments to send, so I can go dock and build some fishing boats. I have caravels to defend if need be, but I can also go for hussars and skirmishes from a stable and barracks, and I think Kaiser just wants to play this out in Age 2. Now sending 600 wood behind this after 700 wood. Already seen a couple units out on the field already. Kaiser's first fishing boat, though, going on to whales instead of fish. Bit unlucky with his fish spawn.
Yeah, Kaiser actually... Kaiser going for... Not Kaiser. Aizamk going for Mongolian Scourge. So these Keshiks become even better versus Cavalry 4x multiplier. And these Step Riders do 37 siege and 15 times 2 against villagers now, which is pretty important. And although a couple of skirmishes do come out, which will stop anything really from doing, or basically anything from doing any work here.
Yeah, it feels a little early for A's to send an upgrade card like this at this point. Maybe 7 steps here would have been a nice card. He already has enough steps on the field, but 7 steps, if you just have it, if you overwhelm your opponent in the cavalry department, you can clean up the skirms, you can pin down the hussars, and you still have the pikemen as well as the Keshiks behind to deal with that hussar mass. I just don't think you're going to get enough value out of that one extra multiplier. Keshiks only do 8 range attacks. It's only 8 damage per shot, not including range resist.
Well, they have twice as fast as a Dragoon, so they do okay. A couple of the Step Riders are going to get some of the villagers out. Pikemen coming out at a nice time. 7 Step Riders coming out at the same time, so it's going to be, by the looks of it, Krang Pikeman versus Pikeman. Which is a really stupid fight. But yeah, those Step Riders, those Keshiks are doing good damage at the back here. And yeah, I mean...
Minutemen coming out. Minutemen having multipliers versus steps as well, so this is going to be a good pickup for those minutes popping rounds to those Steppy Riders. Steps moving to the backside, now dealing with the skirmishes. A few hussars still out. Nice military mass here from A's, but underneath the town centre fire, which he's not using just yet. And the Minutemen, a few hussars, a few skirmishes still alive. I think Kaiser just has enough to defend this, but has the much better eco, has the better follow-up, and this dock, I believe, has been scouted out by Aizamk quite comfortably here, but I'm not too sure A's has anything really to deal with the water at the moment.
Yeah, actually, A's saying that Kaiser was lucky that these Step Riders are siege troopers, which I'm sort of inclined to agree with, actually, because if they weren't, they would have sort of just... they sort of would just like dominate. But Rattans are going to come in by the looks of it. 10 Rattans. Quite a good shipment, probably roughly 5 hussars for A's there, which is quite nice. But yeah, I mean, that dock's going to get taken down. A number of Step Riders still alive, and Steps at this point do decently versus those hussars, and there's not enough hussars to defend against Rattans now. A couple of pikes are in queue, but again, pikes don't do as well against Rattans as they do against hussars, and there's just loads of units here for Maze.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to take a while for him to even siege the dock down. Obviously, once the dock goes down, you're not making any more fishing boats, but you can't raid boats in the water with cavalry. So unless A's goes for a dock himself and trains a war junk or a fire ship, these boats will be quite happy. And getting out 7 boats is quite nice. It does add to this eco. does have 3 banks behind this, but okay, engagement coming in, Rat and Shields, Minutemen have already been called. I actually think A's is cleaning this up. He's properly cleaning this up.
So the pikes are doing well on those Rat and Shields. There is only 6 left, and there's Minutemen. Actually, 2
And
left.
Kaiser's just sent Caravels, and nice, but that's nothing to do, that's not doing anything here.
Yeah, and villagers are now going to get pushed back. Caravels obviously do defend that coastline, but unluckily for him, Rat and Shields did just dominate, and there's no Minutemen left, so these Step Riders actually quite good units now. 2 stable, it's not 2 stable, it's a market in the stable. The Hussars are going to run to the side. Dutch still does have a shipment left, there's no Hussars in deck. And is there CM in deck? That's one thing to note. Yeah, CM is in deck, so I would not be surprised if Kaiser sent CM now.
Kaiserklein keeping his army to the left-hand side, waiting for more reinforcements. Does have 1 pike in queue from his barracks, so should be able to get another pike batch out. Villagers in town centre, a few of them trying to get a little bit of extra sheeps. He does have 2 stables. No, he lost that stable near the coin mine. That's his envoy keeping that blue mark. Does have that 1 stable, but that's going down, so won't be getting any use out of that. So just the extra batch of pikemen's all he's got to work with. Looks like he's getting the macro going for a big colonial militia batch, and he has probably sent a shipment, and yeah, Colonial Militia just in. Colonial Militia trained. Hussars going topside to try and snare. Pikemen down to the south. Looks like this. I think the Cav army can just run away from this.
But the snare is really awful, actually, and all those pikemen are now on the Step Riders. Step Riders do have rangers, so they're going to go down really quickly, and they also have low HP. If he keeps the Rattans in that army, he's going to lose the army. That's the problem here. But the CM aren't actually doing very much. A couple of redcoats are in the base of Kaiser, but they are going to get cleaned up with a CM there, and really, it's not a great position for Ace here. He's lost his army, he's behind on eco, and Kaiser has quite distinctively the water.
Even 2 caravels, that dock is still alive. Could try and get the repair off on it, but it's not his highest priority right now. Picking off another Chang pikeman. House being thrown down, but Kaiser, he feels like he's kind of stuck in the second age. Might want to send a crate shipment while training a batch of skirms to cover, but A's, he's going to the third age now. I think he feels that he's got a window to move up. Realizes he's not going to get too much more if he carries on like he's doing now in the second age, and we'll move on to the next age.
Yeah, so Aizamk is going to age up. He's run out of shipments. Doesn't have any interesting shipments which utilise that Mongolian Scourge, actually, in age 3. Doesn't even have the Iron Flails, which do get a bonus on them. If I recall correctly, Meteor Hammers don't. No, Meteor Hammers don't. So, really, these Kashyyyks and Mongolia and Step Riders maybe not too useful the next stage, especially once you get those Iron Flails out for the Chinese player. But Kaiser even using the CM just to go around being annoying and pick off a couple of units, a couple of villagers. If you look at units lost, A's actually hasn't lost a single villager, and Kaiser lost 5. But Kaiser's going to be stuck in the second age here, at least ever so slightly stuck, probably a shipment behind when he gets up. It looks like he is macro to age himself, and yeah, it looks good for A's here actually.
A's does have the 1,000 coin in deck. He could send the 1,000 coin and goes to the industrial, and the fact that he's now in the third age, Kaiser still in the second, that might give A's enough time to even just do that. I suppose the safest play would be to play it out now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see A's maybe going for Ming Iron Troops and continuing that kind of steppy Keshik play. So the steppies and Keshiks, the Keshiks will protect the Iron Troops from any cavalry play that Kaiser does, but also making full use of these very strong mercenary shipments. Does have shipments like Repelling Volley for Chukanu versus Raiders. Doesn't have standard army HP for steppy buffs, but I feel he's going to transition to more of a standard army with the Arquebusiers and Changdao, because there's no more Chukanu or Keshik cards or any related card in the deck, and the first card coming in is the 11 Changdaos.
Yeah, and those Arquebusiers are going to take out those pikemen very, very easily. A's now even sieging down that TP. Did get in Disciplined Step Rider, which they do a 42 siege attack now, as well as the Kashyyyks now getting in that Disciplined attack as well. A's did, what did A's just queue there? Nothing, but he's just going to circle siege his TC. He does have CM on there, but that's going to go down almost certainly. And
Kaiser saying he needs help because he didn't realize that he's aged up with the Skirm Wander, and he's arguably says just enough to kind of prod away at these pikemen and minutemen, and that's just giving him enough cover to kind of siege that town center down those steppy riders. And he's even building a town center right in the same place as Kaiser's town centers once stood. And I think Kaiser's in a difficult position. Currently, no shipment point down, villagers being raided, army being picked up by the Changdaos and the arquebusiers, and reinforcing batch of 5 meteors. That's the perfect shipment right now to clean up this skirmisher mass. And looks like Ace is going to take this victory, and Kaiser's resigned.
Yeah, and Kaiser resigning 1-all in a play all 5. So Kaiser getting dominated by a weird strat by Aza going, was it Step Rider Kashik after all. But yeah, I mean, Huss start apparently was pointless by Kaiser. He did lose 4 or 5 Huss on his TP at the bottom, which probably was the cause of that. But apparently Kaiser trolling too much himself, as he says.
Well, yeah, I wasn't the massive fan of the bank wagon first in this instance, especially because he had the market down hunting dogs. If you sent the 700 wood, you can easily get the food required for the banks off the 700 wood. Could have gone 700 wood, 600 wood, then bank wagon, just because you have the extra food income, which makes that bank play a bit better. And in the end, Kaiser had 3 banks on the floor. He could have had 5, but instead had 9 fishing boats. But banks are probably better than 9 fishing boats, and you haven't even considered the cost to dock the fishing boats and that time it takes to get all 9 out, and they start to gather. The gathering slowly increases per fishing boat, but Kaiser could have gone for a 4 bank semi-FF, I feel, because of the pressure which A's put in, but could have gone for an in-base stable, in-base racks on that 700 wood instead of going for that bank card. But it's nice to see both players going for different strats, trying things out in the spirit of having a bit of a fun on a show match, and we're currently 1-all. All resources, Kaiser was ahead mainly because he sent a bank wagon and into 2 crate shipments, as well as having a much better eco than what the China player had. The only problem was for Kaiser is he's basically spending most of that extra eco into defensive military units, which is getting continuously picked off by Aze's superior military mass, and even have to send cards that he wouldn't normally want to send in normal playstyle, like Colonial Militia, spending 800 resources on those Minutemen instead of sending a shipment like 700 coin and actually getting the age up in queue, and then being in the 3rd age with A's playing on. And by the time Kaiserklein got to the 3rd age, Aizamk was pushing in with more military units, and just showing if you're ahead in tech at that point, press your advantage. Aizamk was pushing in with the disciplined step riders, the 8 arquebusier shipment, also sending shipments like meteor hammers and training more batches of units behind this. And that military population graph spikes for A's before Kaiserklein can really stabilize in the 3rd age, picks off the town center, and yeah, the game was pretty much over. A few settlers out and about being raided, and Kai's just didn't have the follow-up. He didn't have a shipment point as well, trying to throw a town center on the coast, but it's just too late at that point.
Yeah, when you're ready to join, I think the players are ready to go.
Can you turn your mic up? Edie says he can't quite hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay. It's because I'm speaking relatively quietly.
Yes.
That's fine. I can turn it up slightly.
Is the game lobby open or filled up? Because I can't see it just yet. I thought I saw it. I was like, oh,
Jaguar Pro was just sitting in the... Like, what is he doing?
I was like, oh, a Major General game. I joined that, but it was actually Kanisi. Obviously, Kaiser now the general rank, the highest of the ranks at the moment, and so his lobby is at the top.
Kanisi's Major General now. That's pretty impressive. But I think Tet and Kanisi just play together, so maybe it's slightly easier to get Major General and Kaiser did what he did to get it. But yeah, I mean, I like to green it as France. And Kaiser is Germany, so you might see mercs from Kaiser. You never know.
We can only hope so, but even this matchup in general, German versus French, very very close matchup. But on ground, Chaco though, it's got to be German mercs, because with no training posts, standard Germany play here really suffers especially versus a civ like French, which can stay in the colonial age and mass those musketeers.
Yeah, and it's 2p on this map, so France could go for a native strategy, especially the thing is you sort of want to take a TP post, even if it is one of those native TP posts for Germany and for France, especially when Kaiser now picking up 40 wood. It's especially good for him to go do that, but by the looks of it, he's going to collect the coin from a market, pick that up, go for a market straight away, and get those early hunting dogs up.
Yeah, I think that early market is probably better than an early native TP play, because you only go for the natives on this map for the XP trickle, but with that 200 wood crate start, it's just very easy to get the resources for very early hunting dogs, house down, no idle time from your villager production just due to those extra resources you have for that market play. And you should be able to get a really good age up time. Probably investing all this wood into your market in Texan house instead of a train post could age up 1 vil earlier for both players here. So 13 vils or 13 CDB for A's, 16 vil population from Kaiser, I'm expecting.
Yeah, if you do start with hunting dogs, you can quite easily get that 16 vil population age up. Although Kaiser, because it wasn't a 300 wood start, a 300 food start, I believe he's probably just going to go for a 17 vil age up. That's the main difference there. He's picking up a lot of llamas though, even though he only has one scout. He's actually equal now. It might be a bit of contention for his llamas here. Apparently A's gets them actually as France. No, actually, they both get one, which is fair, I guess. But Kaiser going to pick up 90 coin using the llamas to block, which is quite funny. Yeah, just using the llamas to block that. Crocodile getting 2 more shots than what he should have done. A's going to be picking up 100 food. And my looks for A's is actually 12-10ing.
Oh, standard. He's even got a wood crate still on the floor. 25 wood in it remaining.
Yeah, but that 25 wood's not particularly useful as he can't use it to build a house, so that's why he's 12-10ing. But Kaiser going to pick up, going to see 100 coin, which he probably will pick up in just a second. If we look at A's deck, actually not any native cards in deck, does have Pioneers, which increases your villager hit points by 65%, which is why I got confused with Greatcoats. It's an insane card with France that if you do send it later on in game. But yeah, pretty standard deck actually from France. Not even the French Church card in the H2 slot.
So A's getting a 2-minute 18 age up advance time. Kaiserklein got 17 vil pop queued at this moment. Still going to go for a standard 17 vil age up. I feel that he'll have enough resources to go for a 16 vil. But and he's got 1 vil in queue. He's still only got 500 food, so he will be going for the full 17 vil pop. May even need to eat a llama as well, just to get that nice timing crisp. But Kaiserklein's going to be so slow at this point. He'll see what A's is doing and then thinking, oh, hang on a minute. 12-10, 3 Hussars first. Oh, I need to defend.
Thanks for Comrade Commissar 12 for subscribing. Thank you very much. It all goes to ESOC. Yeah, A's doing a 12-10. He's now finally got his house up. Going to go for his hunting dogs. Already got them as well. He's probably going to go for a... I don't know what A's going to do here. Could go for an age 2 play, go for crossbowman or whatever. Doesn't have a villager forward, does he? Oh, he does have 2 villagers forward. So that signifies to me that he's probably going to go for an age 2 play. Maybe even going to go for musketeer, sort of a Samwise build, musketeer and hussars in age 2.
I think going for a Samwise build here is a bit far-fetched. You just don't have that eco to go for a nice big 5 Musk, 5 Huss batch. But we'll actually scout, if he was paying attention, there's a settler wagon out on the prowl as well. So both players having the same idea. But Kaiser's seeing that A's is up at 3 minutes 50, thinking, what on earth have you done? How did you manage to get that done? And even A is saying he's maybe a kick-ass. I think Kaiser knows what's up. Kaiser's going for a tower here.
What A's is saying there is kick-ass normally goes sort of, 3 hussars is his first card. So if A's does that, it would signify to me when he's doing that, but he didn't. He went for 4 settlers instead, or 4 CDB, because you can see by the population statistic there. There's 3, was it musketeers in queue? Yeah, 3 musketeers in queue. But Kaiser's going to have this outpost up, and if he sends 8 crossbowmen or 3 dops first, I think he's just going to tear down that barracks and sort of dominate the barracks. Him going out did scout that barracks there. And A's running away is CDB, but that barracks is going to go down, and probably probably gonna 5 musketeers coming out, but it's gonna be crossbowmen versus musketeers here.
I think Kaiser's sending 8 bows first because he's training a pike in queue from his barracks, and that makes sense. Bows pick off any musketeers coming out, but the pikes and the Uhlans just enough siege there to start working their way that barracks. So you're certainly right in saying that barracks is under risk. 5 musks already out, moving into Kaiser's base to try and see if he can get anything done. But I think he realizes he needs to move back to defend his next batch of musketeers, which are nearly about to pop out. But 8 bows from the tower, 5 pikes in the barracks. Only a batch of 3 there from A's, and can 8 musketeers defend from 8 bows?
No. 8 musketeers die to 8 bows if you micro them correctly, and it is Kaiser, of course, so he's going to. Pikemen in there as well, adding some siege, and that barracks is probably going to go down. A's had a bit of a sticky situation here. Does have 8 bows of his own he can send, of course, which would bolster his forces and make it so he'd win, but a CDB might go down here if Kaiser notices. Apparently not. 700 wood coming in. Probably going to get another barracks and base, but this is looking really good for Kaiser, even though it's an age, even though it is Germany on a non-TP map. Thank you for Patino 1018 for subscribing. Thank you very much. Sorry for butchering your name, but yeah, this is a big push forward from Kaiser here, and he might even pick up those 8 crossbows if 8 musketeers if Aizamk's not lucky.
It feels like A's his 12-10 play would have worked a little bit better if actually he had that trading post start instead of a market start. It just feels that he does have an alright eco behind us with the hunting dogs. But he now has steel traps and gang sword behind it, but the shipment progression hasn't really kind of kept up the tempo that he'd wanted to. Probably didn't send a shipment straight away in on the age up to the second age, and Kaiserklein was just a single shipment to deny anything aggressive from A's. A's did go for Sydney first, but Kaiserklein has replied with 3 set of wagons, and eco is pretty similar at the moment, but Kaiserklein with those Uhlans with each shipment just has a much bigger army at this point. But what is A's plan here? Like, he's going for a single Hussar and Q, but he doesn't really have the food in deck. He's got lots of coin, but there's no mercenary shipment from A's in the second age. Could have had the Huron mantlets, but not present in his deck. So lots of coin at the moment. Is A's trying to save for the fortress? I don't see it.
Does he have Huron mantlets? It doesn't have Huron mantlets in deck, so I don't know what Ace is doing. Even Ace himself might seems confused. Harmony, he forgot to add 3 Hussars. Yeah, 3 Hussars there would be pretty big. And he's just losing all of his instructions, saying no wonder Kick-Ass is better. Again, in reference to the fact that Kick-Ass goes Fuka, CDB, and then straight into 3 Hussars.
Just remember, just imagine 3 Hussars on top of that 8 bow, 5 pike, 2 Huss. You would have had 8 musketeers and then 3 Hussars. And I think with decent micro, you could get a good engagement there. Maybe not clean it up, especially versus a player versus Kaiser. You probably won't get a massively amazing pickup here. But 3 Hussars being shipped now, with a batch of 5 being trained. A's is now confined to the second age. We'll try and push out this nice large Musk Huss, but Kaiserklein doesn't have many. He has many pikes. A's doesn't have too many musks to pick these guys off, and Pike's is going to get a really good trade here.
Yeah, Pike's going to get a good trade. Crossbowmen actually don't do too badly against Hussars themselves. They are constantly firing. Their inaccuracy has been fixed. A couple of Uhlans do come out on the side, and a couple of Pikes do come out as well, which are going to clean them up. Only 1 musketeer left, and these Hussars are just going to all die. A couple of Uhlans do come out on the side as well, and A's calling GG there. So Kaiser picking up the next game really quickly by going for the sort of standard tower rush as Germany. I know Kaiser did that a lot as in Nilla, right?
Yeah, even at the ends there, that was some really good play from Kaiser. I feel that some less experienced players at that point would have possibly panicked when they realised that their opponents had many, many Hussars out in the field and their pipeline was crumbling. Kaiserklein just continued to focus fire his crossbow fire onto the musketeers because he knew he had reinforcing pikemen and Hussars from a 700 wood shipment to be able to come out. And Uhlans from a 700 wood shipment to deal with the remaining cavalry from A's. And so Kaiser did lose about another 5 or 6 crossbows, but managed to pick off all the remaining musketeers. Pikemen cleaned up the Hussars for free because the Hussars just couldn't deal with the pikemen with no reinforcing units. And at that point, 22 military population versus 2. Kaiserklein had the military to kind of contain A's moving forward. A's could have tried his best defending with an 8 bow shipment and Minutemen, but Kaiserklein was in the driving seat at that point.
Yeah, Kaiser, I think, just because of that barracks being so forward and the tower rush being slightly better than the barracks there, sort of in commanding position as a whole. But yeah, I mean, A's is going to counterpick Kaiser now. Kaiser's still having. A's actually picking first as Russia, which is quite nice. Obviously, I know A's likes going for the Russian church build, so you go for the church guard, which allows you to go for, 8 or 9 guard dragoons, Kalmucks, and then you get loads of guard hussars in age 4. It's pretty insane. But
when you're talking about Aizamk, though, you need to be a bit more specific on which church card you're talking about. Is this the advanced church, as you just mentioned,
church. Oh, you
or
got
is it
priests.
Team Cheap Priests, which, to be fair, very, very tanky units for their coin cost once you send that card. And I feel in a prolonged age 2, it's actually an overlooked card to send. I've recently been playing around with that Team Cheap Priest card, and it's amazing how fast they train and how much damage they can take up. And if you actually mix them with proper units underneath them, is a legit strat. I tell you what, it's really good. Watch out for it. We may see it this game.
Kaiser going for the Russian mirror, which might not be the most interesting mirror in the game, but we don't see it too often, so at least there's that going for it. But on ESOC standard maps as well, it can be any of these maps here, so it could be Nepal, Pampasieros, Tupero, Cavalry. What even is that last map, actually? I've never seen it. Wabakami?
Wabakami, or
I don't know what that is.
I haven't got the map in front of me, but it's a nice design map. Small pond in the middle with a little island, extra resources on it, but does have a water home city shipment. Small TP route. I've seen a few decks of A's. A few decks do have the Team Cheap Priest card. So we'll have to see if he will be playing that.
But
360 HP, 10 resist, 10% range resistance. That would tank so much shredded fire.
But it is Cascade Range, which is a map we see a lot. Obviously, it is a map which does have fishing on both sides. We saw this actually earlier. There you go. Ban Nootka. Both players are Russia, obviously, so the start doesn't matter too much. It is a coin start, though. Kaiser going to be picking up 50 food straight away, and A's at the same time going to be picking up actually nothing. He's just going to be wandering around on the map trying to find something.
Both players suggesting a truce on Nuke Clubman at this point, and I feel that with the fact that the native hosts give you XP as well, quite a strong option, especially these Nuke Clubman predominantly costing food instead of wood, have a high siege, and very useful for taking down important buildings for the Russian player, like their blockhouses. Looks like these players want a bit of a longer game, so opting to go for a nice treaty between the two players of no nukers. They're about to go into a massive battle between each other, but before that happens, playing are being very civil with each other.
Yeah, I mean, both players know each other quite well, so really there's not a lot of hostility between the two players. I think it's just fun for both of them to play against each other, especially since you don't really see A's being streamed too much anymore. But there is water on this map. Both players could go for a bit of a water boom. As you said, you can put the home city water flag in there and use it as a bit of a, I don't know, what would you call it, like a little pond where you could sort of attack each other or whatever. But I doubt we're going to see too much of that. As
there's a Kamath settlement here as well. For some reason, I thought it was 4 nukers, but Kamath are here as well. And let's have a quick look at what the Klamath actually provide. They do give you rifleman units for 60 food, 60 wood. I don't imagine we'll see many of those units trained this match, considering that the Russian player has access to Strelets, which are just essentially much better in many, many ways than what the Klamath can provide. But they also have a nice kind of eco theory here. 5% all resources for 100 food, 100 wood, 100 coins. So a bit more expensive than the Asian market tech, but something to maybe keep in mind for a later play. Some crates of food as well for every
you get
goes on. That's quite strong.
Get 1,000 food at 30 minutes, which isn't too bad. as a shipment. I think it's 1,000 food. Yeah, 1,000 food at 30 minutes for 300 resources, which is quite a good trade. But I doubt we're ever going to see that coming in any game. But yeah, I think Age 1 has sort of been a bit balanced. Kaiser went for a market, A's didn't. But at the same time, I think A's is going to have a slightly faster age up.
Another interesting tech here, the Klamath strategy. Riflemen attack 25% for just for the native Klamath riflemen, but it's essentially if they're held in the back line, it's like having an elite upgrade for your natives in Age 2, which we know how strong upgrades like Boyars are, and musket attack for British are, and just other upgrade cards like this. That actually is quite a cheap upgrade to have, even once you already have that native post up. So I suppose it does give these Klamath guys a somewhat of a viability as well. So I don't imagine we'll see Klamath this game, but in other matches, in other maps, they do have their purpose, and you can plan strategies around that.
Yeah. Should we have a look at the decks of both players? Ace has two heavy. Oh, Russia always has two heavy cannon shipments. But you never really see it in deck. Ace does have it, and he does have the Reformist Tsar card, which is quite strong. You do get with Kalmaths, and really quite a standard deck other than that. There's not too much to talk about. And Kaiser's deck, of course, is I think the most standard you can possibly get for Russia here. Doesn't even have two heavy cannons in the industrial age. Does have team cavalry scouts, which is quite nice. These guys love talking to each other, apparently. Bit of a massive conversation going on the whole time. Kaiser saying, haha, no explorer card in deck, which actually, to be honest, isn't surprising because his map has awful treasures.
Kaiserklein dropping down a dock left side while herding another hunt over here. Obviously, not going to herd it to the town centre, but just keep it away from the coast is quite nice. Go into some wood, but trying to get a few extra fishing boats out in the first stage during transition just to really help that eco ever so slightly and try and get a slight lead in the mirror matchup. But I'm not too sure actually if it will pay off in the long run. It's quite a bit of an investment at the moment, and it's hard enough as it is just to maintain villager production in the second age while producing units. But both players not really playing anywhere forward on the map. Both players dropping defensive stables. A's is dropping a defensive blockhouse as well with the wood that he didn't invest into that dock, which Kaiser's done. A's has 900 food. Did he age up with the Philosopher Prince?
Well, you can look at text completed here. A's both playing up with quartermaster, so A's just going for like. Or has A's not been making villagers? I think that's what it is. No, he has been. I don't know. He's actually going with a stable as well. First of all, which is sort of standard, I guess, in the Russian map.
I guess because you're not going for a mid-map blockhouse, you're not chopping any wood, and so your villagers are just continuously gathering food during that transition. That 700 coins is going to come out, and he's going to gather it up. And he's gone 5 Cossacks, so I don't think going 5 Cossacks and then trying to. I don't think you have enough coin behind that to get the age up in, and with another batch of villagers and another Cossack in queue, it looks like AIDS wants to do some sort of like 15, 20 Cossack timing and probably sends 600 coin next card for A's.
Yeah, this sort of reminds me of when Callan against B Winner just went pure Cossacks in a China-Russia game and ended up winning because of that. But we'll see what he does. I mean, saying we're no rush 50, I mean, there's no time. Yeah, Kaiser even though going for 2 stables and base, so by the looks of it, both players just going to go for loads and loads of Cossacks.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Russian mirror into Cossack opening from both players. Usually it's blockhouses in the same screen, forward shipments, and really exciting stuff. But both players going Cossacks. A's actually sending the 5 Cossack as his second shipment instead of a coin shipment here. Kaiserklein going 700 wood, 700 coin, wood helping to get the few extra fishing boats in production, second stable, a couple of extra houses as well. But now A is pushing in with more Cossacks. He's got 17 Cossacks currently to 5 of what Kaiser got. He's got 1 Cossack in queue, but actually this match from A's is just enough to kind of shut down what Kaiser's doing. He will not be allowed to gather up that coin he's sent. He's got 500, 600 coin just still sat on the floor. He's just got to park his entire army in the base.
Yeah, and Kaiser does have two, well, a Cossack in each stable being produced. But down at the bottom here, bit of a fight, losing loads more Cossacks for Kaiser. And nice micro from both players actually here. But yeah, A is picking up a number of villages here, and you can look at the unit population, or military unit population is probably more telling here. Kaiser quite significantly behind. He does have 6 Cossacks in queue. There you go, there's 8 popping out. So now it's more equal than it was, but yeah, he's still quite far ahead, especially seeing as he sent that 5 Cossack card. Doesn't have any more in queue though, which means that Kaiser might be able to get ahead because he does have a better eco population once you account for those boats.
Yeah, but so far in the units lost, A's has lost 3 Cossacks. Kaiser's lost 5 Cossacks, 2 villagers. Still has quite a few fishing boats behind us to keep up his eco population ahead. But the fact that Kaiser's already lost those Cossacks means he's still behind in that military population, and all that idle time that A's caught as well. I feel that eco population is a little bit misleading. That A's has probably actually gathered slightly more resources than what Kaiser's managed. Even now, sending 600 coin, still only on 1 stable at the moment, but has lots of resources to go for more Cossacks. But actually, I think he's cut his production. I think he's looking to go to the next stage. Only villagers in the house. But Kaiser has to make more Cossacks just to defend, and A's is going to get to the next stage and go vet Cossacks Cav combat. Okay, look at this flank here from Kaiser. He's just going to cut this entire army.
Oh, do they escape? No, they don't escape, so he's going to lose 3 Cossacks there. Not good for Ace, but I think Ace is probably going to go... Oh, he might even lose another one. Yeah, he's going to lose 4 Cossacks, 5 Cossacks. So he lost quite a decent amount of his army there, but Ace still has the ability to go reform his Tsar, or even just go for, yeah, reform his Tsar, and then go for those Kalmuks, which would not surprise me. How is Ace actually researching? He's going for the Exiled Prince, so far stage up here. I have to see what he does in the next stage, but I believe, yeah, Ace has anything he can do here, but he does have a lot of villagers just wandering around the map, which could get caught out by those Cossacks of Kaiser.
Kaiserklein now having not 10 boats in the water. That's a nice amount of boats to have. Eventually, this fish will be depleted, but 10 boats already, not that expensive for the Russian player, considering they have their distributors and 700 woods and that 400 wood on age up, and it's giving Kaiser a really nice eco. But he's got his timing now thanks to aging up behind this, and then quite a lot of villagers actually going to get caught out with no greatcoats, and I'm expecting to see at least 4 go down here.
Oh, I think all of them are going to go down, actually, which is really bad for A's. Not good at all. I mean, there's a couple of... yeah, how many villagers went down there? I think 5 or 6. 6 villagers, yeah, and only 2 going down for Kaiser. Now, actually, the number of Cossacks which have died is actually equal. So, really, not good for A's at all here. He is in the next age, right? So, he can get cavalry archers out. By the looks of it, Kaiser is aging now instead.
That raid has prompted Aizamk to hastily get his greatcoats there, but he's already lost 6 vills, and that's frustrating there. He even says he's got his greatcoat in now. Okay, 1,000 coin. Next card is A's wanting to go man shoot after this behind this.
Wouldn't surprise me if because of that massive veteran Cossacks, which are going to come in with Boyars, are incredibly strong. Veteran Cossacks ever so slightly stronger than the Boyars ones.
I don't think. Okay, Ace is continuing that Cossack production. He could have changed into cavalry archers at this point. That'd be quite strong. I don't think Cossack Ace has a 5 cav archer shipment in his deck, so that option for Aizamk is not available. 12 musketeers feels very slow on the map when you're dealing with an army of essentially pure Cossacks, but is now gathering up enough resources. Got 1 cav archer in queue, massing lots of coin. Another shipment is nearly ready to go for Aizamk, and when you already have 1k coin banked up, I think Ace is going to try and raid, try and buy time, and wait for a merc shipment. But mercenaries, they take longer to send. It could be quite a while before he gets reinforcements.
Yeah, and that dock probably going to go down. Not actually too used to that dock anymore. There's enough fishing boats in there just to fish the pond. And there's actually no whales in the pond, so really the fishing boats, when they take out those fish, they're sort of useless, they're idle. But yeah, that dock gonna go down. Might get caught here though by that number of veteran Cossacks. These are really
Cossacks have
strong.
got boyars on as well. This is not going to be pretty for Aizamk. These Cossacks are outmassed and outstrength fairly convincingly, and even 5 Cav archers is just not really enough to deal with this Cossack map. Cossack
Ooh.
mats that Kaiserklein has, and these guys can tank quite a bit of damage from these Cav archers. I'm sure there's a few more reinforcements from Kaiser on the way. Another 2 Cossacks in queue could be sending Cav Combat behind. Cav Combat just comes in. These are double-carded Cossacks and upgraded. This should be shredding through what Aizamk's got.
But it's not. Ace is actually getting quite a good fight here actually. But especially those cavalry archers getting a couple of Cossacks on the side where overall actually went very well for A's compared to what it should have done. I believe A's probably has Manchu coming in because of his score, right?
Yeah, he had that 1,000 coin massed up, but didn't. He only sent 5 Cav archers behind that, gathering quite a bit of food now and trying to get 1 Cossack, 1 Cav archer. I think he's trying to bait Kaiserklein in. I think Kaiser's taking. I don't think he's going to take the full bait, but oh my god, look at these villagers out on the map as well. This is going to be a wrecking. You see, A's is trying to pull these Cossacks towards
Manchu come in. Yeah, there you go.
Manchu, but there's so many villas out here going to get.
Yeah.
Might pick off 3 before backing off here. Okay,
Manchu in hand combat. Don't see that too often. Actually, Manchu lose the Cossacks in hand combat. That's weird. But yeah, I mean, just look how many villagers have gone down here. Kaiser 20 ahead.
This is why buff house, so they have horses.
They're golden too. Look at them. Look at the colour they have. But,
you know that saying, "Don't ask, don't get." So you never know. That could happen.
Yeah, I mean, Lancers might end up having a cavalry multiplier. But look at the raid if it comes out here. Manchu don't do too badly when they're raiding themselves. And there's not really anything that Kaiser has which takes out Manchu. So... But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a decent raid from Aizamk at least. And those Cossacks aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, well, is Kaiser trying to send some Cossacks just to tank to try and protect some vills? It feels a bit tough, and those Manchus they're very, very strong. Like we said, it just took time for them to come in, but that time when they were away from the battlefield cost A's other army and cost quite a lot of villagers. Kaiserklein, though, I think he had enough resources for a mercenary batch. I wasn't actually checking them, but he does have 1 town centre going down on very aggressive on A's vills and his other coin mine. He's aware that coin is very limited this map, but A is going for a raid on this coin mine northeast.
Yeah, he's getting Kai's actually getting another raid in. He is still behind on eco, but these fishing boats are what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fishing boats, which are completely useless once that last fishing patch goes out. So actually, the eco is probably equal, but town centre coming on, pretty BM town centre. A couple of the huds even dead next to it already. Oh, villagers are going to get picked up here as well. A wall coming down from A's. Look at that.
Okay, A's needs to make the most of this time he's been given before Manchu come in for Kaiser. I think Kaiser will want to send Manchu at some point if they're not on the way already. You need to remember, Manchu benefit from the Cav combat upgrade. Okay, there's Manchu from Kaiserklein with the Cav combat upgrade as well. So I think Kaiserklein has the military advantage in terms of numbers and strength at this point. And he still has, well, no, that eco is basically the same because this fish is about to run out, and that will be it. He's got one more fish pod of 500 food remaining, but apart from that, the eco is going to be the same. But more vills going down, trying for up a blockhouse. That blockhouse will be denied, and that is such an expensive pickup there for A's, and that's such a shame to see that units lost in total. 24 vills from A's and 14 vills from Kaiserklein. This certainly been action packed.
Yeah, both players losing a lot of villagers, losing a lot of units, and A's, I don't think he's in it too much now. I mean, just look at the scores. 40 score ahead in a mirror is significant, to say the least. There's not really anything A's can send him. Maybe Reform Mrs. Tsar is only really way out of this, and sort of 19 Charlottes maybe. But yeah, I don't see A's doing too much out of this. But it's just a cavalry mass on both sides, and whoever has the more cavalry is going to end up winning here.
Well, you say that. Ace is currently basically all vills on wood at the moment and probably chopping even more wood. Church is down in base, does have gang saw. Reformer Star, is probably actually in queue. Guard Dragoons with the Cav combat upgrade as well. Kaiserklein, he doesn't have that opportunity to go to Guard Goons. His only option really now is to actually start thinking about going to Shreddit production underneath this kind of cavalry massed army. He does have Team Cav Scouts, but um, in terms of actual raw benefits at this point in time, I think the reformist SAR will actually give more momentum than Team Cav Scouts. And once those Kalmuks enter the field, Kaiserklein will be losing lots of those Cossacks and Manchu, and will have to basically retreat. And I think Ace, if he wants to come back into the game, he needs to do his best to get a surround off. And we do see a few Manchu and Cossacks going for the base, trying to go at one side of the army. We're going to see Guard Goons very, very soon being trained and sent somewhere. Blockhouse forward.
Yeah, Blockhouse forward is going to protect those villagers. Actually, it's going to snipe down some villagers. A's now going for reform as well. There's 9 Kalmuks. Look how strong they are. They're basically they actually are guard dragoons. Now A's still behind in score somehow, even with a 12 score boost of 3. Would have got a big raid there if he was lucky, but there's going to be a big raid on the same bottom side there. But this army, I think, wins this. It must win, surely.
Yeah, you got Guard Goons with Cav Combat as well as Manchu still focusing down the other Manchu. Cossacks, look at these upgrades. Boyars, Cav Combat, Cav Scouts, Cavalry Couriers, Veteran Cossacks as well. These guys are absolutely insane, and Kalmuks, they're not the greatest in tanking damage in hand combat. They're only good at tanking in range, but it looks like the military mass is being traded off fairly equally, but Kaiserklein has to follow up, where Aizamk doesn't. A weird game. Russian Mirror being played out as a Sioux Mirror. That's not often you see that.
Yeah, those Cossacks, you can look at the end, that's Azov's Cossacks. Kaiser's Cossack, 39 attack and 400 HP, so they're better than, basically guard hussars at this point. They're insane. But under that blockhouse, ending up winning. We can look at units lost here. 28 villagers lost for A's, 14 lost for Kaiser. Obviously 10 boats lost by Leighton himself. And we look at military units. Aizamk actually making it slightly less military units as a whole, but Cossacks being the favourable unit is 62 Cossacks for Kaiserklein.
Just imagine if A's carried on his cavalry spam in the second stage. I feel that actually A's could have won the game there and then. Kaiser was penned up, traded off some of his Cossacks really poorly, could have denied that coin shipment. It was just on the floor, was eventually being gathered up, but used that time to age up. But A's aging up lost him a few of those units, and then tried to then push out with the Cav Archers. That gave Kaiserklein the time to follow up with his better eco. Really good fight for Kaiserklein near that pond, which there were a few Cav Archers, but the fact that Kaiser had double-carded units at that point was so strong and just tore through what A's had. A's had a few Cossacks, had a few Musketeers in hand combat, a few Cavalry Archers, but looks can be deceiving, and those Cossacks really had a good trade. A's sending Manchus first, and then for a period of time, Kaiser in the back foot. But once those Manchu came in from Kaiser, it would have taken a miracle to really win that fight. And Kalmuks came close, but it just wasn't enough in the end.
But Kalmuks not unfortunately taking out the Cossack mass from Kaiser there. But still, we still got, I think, a single game left, isn't it? I think this is our last game now.
I thought it was game number 3.
Oh, it was game number 3.
Maybe I'm not counting correctly.
No, it was game number 3 because it was the Dutch game. Yeah, it is game number 3. But there is 2 more games left. So Kaiser is 2-1 up at the moment. But of course, A's can still win. It is a playable 5 instead of a best of 5. So it is, of course, 2 games left.
And, the first game was on Fraser River, Brit versus French, wasn't it?
Brit versus French, which went on for quite a long time, half an hour or so.
That was a very good game, that was.
But by the looks of it, Brit versus Japan. Actually, Kaiser doesn't really play Brit that much, so this is quite an interesting matchup, especially as A's plays Japan quite heavily.
Pardon me, I'm just kind of eating a banana. I'm starving.
That's fine, no worries.
Yes.
But if you just ready up, we'll get into the next game and see what map it is.
I'm back. We've currently 6:30, usually time for some dinner, but with you guys on ESOC TV, casting some Age of Empires. It looks like tonight's series to kick off week number 4 of the EPL number 2 between the SKGs and the New World Challengers. I think it's a team matchup. I am checking my Discord, and it does appear that that will be casted by Edie Holland. So Edie Holland will be casting Victor Swee versus Izad at 19:30 GMT. Which is obviously 20:30 in our time. A little bit late for me and Riot because where we live at the moment. But Edie Holland's looking to put a shift in tonight. And we're very excited to watch that game alongside you guys and get that Victor Swee hype going in the chat. I'm sure Victor Swee will be the crowd favourite, but he'll have a very tough matchup versus an opponent who's been playing very well so far in the EPL, has picked up many wins in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, and if you just want to ready up.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Why is he calling you Mr. Ford? It's weird.
Because Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, knows his film. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised that was the idea of my dad, actually. He's never officially confirmed it. Mum always says it's her idea, but I think Dad's thinking, you go, NZ, you go.
Yeah, as Harrison's quite an uncommon name, isn't it, as a whole?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many guys called Harrison. It's got to that point when anybody who says Harrison, I just turn around. And even sometimes Harry, but like I get a bit upset when it's somebody else. I'm like, oh, it's just not me anymore.
I do that with my name as well, but my name's incredibly common. So, yeah, I mean, he's starting with 200 wood here, but starting with 200 wood is a non-TP map. Actually, it's quite nice. We're seeing a lot of non-TP maps. You don't really see them too often in tournaments now because of a tournament map pool having none in them. And this matchup in particular is quite interesting because it relies heavily on non-TP maps. So it should be quite interesting to watch. It is, of course, the llamas on the left-hand side here. He's using his orchard rickshaw to pick up some. And by the looks of it, Kaiser doesn't really care. He's just walking around with his explorer, not even finding them. He's somehow typing in chat whilst also moving his units. I don't know how he's doing that.
I've noticed that. I think he's just kind of shift-clicked, and the problem is, look where Kaiser's explorer is, and look where the cherry orchard and both explorers from A's is, and he's picking up most of the yaks at this point, and a few yaks one yak will get picked off, but that yak being picked off will now know where the remaining yaks are, and you think that cherry orchard could try and keep this llama together, but I think it's just going to be safe enough, and a shrine going down his llamas. A's throwing down 2 early shrines instead of going for a port consulate and Cami build. I don't think we'll see heavily Cami come out of Aizamk this game, considering he's really gone for the 2 early shrines. But all his llamas on that shrine already. Damn, that is so nice.
That's
nice
the greatest.
Maze here.
That's the greatest thing about shrines, really. You can just put them down and take the llamas and not have to bring them back to your base at all. But there's actually no treasures either player's picked up yet. Kaiser picked up 90 coin, that's about it. There's some nice treasures on the map. There is 75 food. Of course, 40 XP in A's base as well, which is quite nice. A nearly mature wolf pup, which is completely useless. 2 cows, which is, again, pretty useless. What's over here? Do have 90 food. At 80 wood, I think, is the best treasure in the map. That one there. And
very nice to the Brits player because they could crack a shot that pirate, and there's one large treasure on the north side here. 225 food for 3 outlaws. That is very takeable.
Yeah. And 225 food, what you can do is you crack shot one of the outlaws and you run away, and then you crack shot the last one, and then you just go into hand-to-hand combat with the last guy who's apparently digging up food, which doesn't really make any sense, but that's fine.
Well, he's digging up those potatoes. Like these guys are sitting around a small little farm waiting for trying to harvest their sweet potatoes from the ground. Surely that's obvious, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I have a gold casket next to them, and I don't
That's
know.
That's the lunchbox. That is.
It's always funny to me, but with a guy digging, nobody else starts digging afterwards. They just sit down. I think, oh, that guy's dead, but no, we don't want the potatoes anymore. But yeah, Kaiser just gonna crack shot one, walk around a bit, scout a bit, and then probably come back and just crack shot the last one. Get 225 food, which is really nice. Kaiser gonna go for a marketing base.
You know what? I've never actually thought about that. These guys are still having that same conversation as if all
Yeah.
three of them there. They're both cracking jokes. Like the guy sat down, like slapping his leg, like, "What a great joke, Barry! Oh, nice one." Where's Dave doing? Dave, I haven't heard much from Dave so far.
Yeah, yeah. One of my friends just died. They all look the same as well, so they're in some sort of clan together. But ultimately, they just go back and talk to
I
each
don't
other
know what
again.
graphic settings you have, but you see that little log fire at the end of one of the logs. It looks like a face. I know it's not a face, but it looks like a face. It's so creepy.
Let's have a look. Yeah, I sort of get that, but it's just a mangled bit of texture for me. There's also some random like a fish next to it, I guess. But anyway, I guess it's not the most important. There is some nice native treasures on this map, native units on this map, which A's might go for. Inca especially good. Actually, the Mapuche are quite, or Mapute, or however I say their name, are pretty good. They do have that siege attack, 50% on hand attack, and A's at the same time does have Ronin in his deck. So if you combine Ronin with that siege attack bonus, it's just ridiculous. But A's went for 2 villagers in his first card.
Yeah, on this map, it feels like now it's the meta is to go for Incan. You're doing a strange build if you actually don't really include the Incans in your build order at some point. And these guys should be able to get a batch of Incans out pretty quickly, probably on the field. Should be able to do enough damage to the barracks before a batch of Musketeers comes out. We'll have one Incan being trained straight away, and considering he's got so many villagers on food, should get a nice batch of about 4 Incans, I'm guessing. He did go up the Golden Pavilion, though. 3 Yumi Archers in the middle as well. This is not a standard wonder to go to the next stage. 3 Incans and 3 Yumis could do quite well versus that opening batch of units.
Yes.
But it's been denied, though, that both builds up, 5 muskets out, and 3 Yumi Archers can do all right versus the Musketeers, but the fact that that's all been done, now it feels a bit underwhelming. Those Incans are just going to go around and trying to cause a bit of havoc in the British player's base.
Damio come out as well, which is quite nice. Buck the Tame Wolf was also taken. These 2 manor houses also going to go down. That's basically 2 villagers going down. Kaiser bringing back his villagers to get one of those manor houses up at least. And actually, the Incans, when they get into hand-to-hand combat with the Musketeers, don't do too badly. They do have a slightly better attack. And but the Yumis are what's important here, and the Daimyo actually behind. It doesn't want to die. Oh, that's not good for A's. If he loses that Daimyo, it's probably game over already.
But A's is about to pop 5 Yumi or 5 Ashi from that Daimyo as a home
actually,
city shipment.
Yeah, and imagine 5 Ashi or 5 Yumi coming out now. It'd be really good. 5 Ashi's coming in.
But there's a wall, there's a gate here from Kaiserklein. What a nice play that is.
But Incan Bolus Warriors in queue as well. And Bolus Warriors do well against Musketeers. They do have an area attack. I think it's 1 or 2. It's not great, but it does some damage. But Daimyo needs to be careful. He's quite low HP, only 140. Actually, 67 HP, and he's that's so close. 30. It went down. That's really big. That's basically a shipment down. It's really, really big. And a single Bolus Warrior comes out. Funny enough, Bolus Warriors don't even have a hand attack. One unit doesn't. But yeah, I mean, this is clean up from A's, I guess. From Kaiser, I guess.
You know what? All in all, it's not too bad because A's is still has some shrines, a nice shrine count, 50 shrine pop. Okay, not the greatest, but it's not absolutely terrible, and does have all his vills continuously working. While quite a few of these guys from the British player were a bit idle, picking up a manor house there, forcing the 6 musketeer shipment out of Kaiser as well. So it's not completely bad, but I feel that Kaiserklein has the ability to now at this point outboom the Japan player, because the Japan player was kind of committed to that aggressive play. Does send 4 vills, but Kaiser could just send 600 wood and with his wooden bank throw down another 5, 6, 7 manor houses. Has better ecotechs than Hunting Dogs, Gangsaw. Still to get steel traps, but will have a better eco potential. And okay, now sends 5 vills to that middle portion of the map to try and gather a bit of the wood, some hunts out in the open. Kaiser doesn't actually realize how good of a map he's got. He's got this hunt here, this forward hunt which he's been working on, and this also side hunt. So such a good spawn for Kaiserklein. If this was a tournament game, I would have suggested a rehost, but Kaiserklein now with the 5 ills and soon to be steel traps. Okay, steel traps being researched and completed. It's just having such a great eco, and even going for the grenadiers behind this. So he's doing this one for you.
Yeah, Callum's going to be happy about the Grenge coming out. I know Callum loves Grenadiers. Makes them a lot in team games, as I said earlier. But yeah, this isn't good for Aizamk at all. Kaiser even now trolling Aizamk the way that Aizamk trolls everyone else. If we look at Kaiser's deck, he does actually even have improved Grenadiers in his deck, which makes Grenadiers do something like 100 siege damage on H2, which is pretty insane. But yeah, this isn't looking good for Aiz. And one thing to note is that Aiz's eco population, the shrines in that conversion, accounts them to have Kami and the big shrine with Shogun on. So these shrines are particularly weak. They should be doing 0.67 wood a second, but they're only doing 0.5, which, yeah, it's not the greatest, is it?
So the thing about Musketeers, Grenadiers, they both benefit from the Musk Attack, Musk HP cards, but the Grenadier is very nice for dealing with some of the shrines, and especially with that improved siege damage card being sent. But the Grens, they do tank quite a bit of damage from Yumis and Ashis. They don't have the heavy infantry tag, so they tank a bit more damage from the Yumi archers. 200 HP, 50 range resist. It's actually a nice combination to have versus a Japan player, because it's not often you see them go Naginata riders in the second age. Considering that Daimyo has been picked off now, the only way Aiz can get Nagis is if he throws down his own stable or goes for a... It's not even a military rickshaw from the consulate, I don't think. He hasn't even got a consulate down, let alone whichever way he's allied with. He's now pushing in with the Grenadiers, Musketeers, and he's got the military population clearly. Aiz is now pushing in with these Incans and a few Yumis, but I think Kaiser's fine to fight this. Yumi archers prodding away at the Grenadiers, but no Grenadiers has gone down just yet. One Gren took about 100 HP from a nice big volley of town center fire and Yumi archers. Okay, now calling double minutes. I think once Kaiser sees his Minutemen, we'll start to back out a little bit. Doesn't want to overpop. But we do see, okay, Wood sent forward. That's a bit awkward. But another batch of 4 Grenadiers coming in. Oh, Samurais as well. Nice!
5 Samurais, he's actually quite good when they get into hand-to-hand combat. 28 damage. His Grenadiers do really well against Yumis and stuff, though. They're just look
wow, that's a big volley there from the Grenadiers as well. And look at these Minutemen going flying.
Yeah, Grenadiers are great. They're one of the best units in the game, just because of how funny they are when guys go flying. They're also not too bad nowadays because of the they don't have the heavy infantry attack on them. Funny enough, the Naganatas do extra damage versus them now, which is one of the caveats, I guess. But a couple of Musketeers to come on the other side.
That's a long throw. That's a big pickup there from Kaiser. You'd be happy to see that one there. And he's now working on that barracks still, which he started earlier, and that barracks is going down. That one Samurai is not going to come out. He needs to buy some wood from that market quickly for another barracks. Like, it's just... He cannot not afford to get woods at this point from the market. Because he's only got the consulate coming down, but no other units behind. If he bought... he could go Japan military rickshaw for the stable, but that feels slow at this point.
Kaiser went for improved Grenadiers. He's now 100 siege attack, which is just ridiculous. So they take down cards. They take down towns. Look at this town center just getting ripped down in a second. Actually, it does less damage than I thought it would do. Oh, a settler coming forward for no reason. I don't know what he's doing. He has got some medicine, so pulling villagers here. Do 6 damage, and...
just casual age up behind this, you know, as you do. Just massive army, Grenadiers knocking down your TC, but it's okay. Going up with Shogunate. Just a standard game from Aiz, this is. Nothing to worry about.
He's pulling in the villagers constantly to take out these Grenadiers, but I think Kaiser's had enough of this. He's just going to constantly take down this town centre. It's going to go down. The Japanese units, they do quite well against Musketeers as a whole, but that Wonder, I don't think that's going to be good. And Grenadiers against the Against the Wonder, actually do decent damage. If he were to keep the Wonder and had sort of 10, he'd actually get the Wonder down, which is quite funny.
Eventually, but why do the Wonder you can pick off the Vills now and there and then? I think going for the Vill, Kaiserklein, sorry for the Gren, lame. It's not lame, in. That's just making the best use out of a not great strategy. Villagers going for flying lessons as well. This is brutal.
If you look at the bottom of a Gren's feet, there's like little sparks which come when I light a grenade at the bottom of their feet or something. I don't know why.
I think that's your graphics settings.
That must be my graphic settings. It's really funny. But Bestiario is coming out now, and his Grenadiers not really doing a huge amount against them. Actually, they do okay. They do have 50% range resist. Grenadier, Musketeer, hand attack damage, or just the damage coming in. So his Grenadiers do 21 attack area 3, I think it is. So they're not too bad, and Kaiser just making full Grens now. A's actually deleted his Wonder. I don't know why.
He's well, that's not good.
I don't know why he did that, but...
Portuguese consulate maybe.
That must be why.
Get production of it and invest it into something else. But I don't know at this point. It's not like he's going castle. Castle is flaming arrows. He's just going wood and coin at this point. But he called for the bestiaries instead of going Japan consulate and clubman and defending his flaming arrows. And we always like to say like there's always still opportunities, but I think in this game we're gonna pass that realm.
Yeah, there's a Musketeer now just fighting two of these villagers just on its own. Castle going down first so he can get some shipments out, which is quite nice. And Kaiser now even aging himself. He's going to have even better Grenadiers when he gets in that Musketeer Grenadier combat card.
He's going to go for the Incan road building. He's built up the Incan settlements. I don't think Kaiser is one of those people who goes for the actual Huaminkas, but he's certainly a fan for getting text out of native posts and always remembers what natives are present in each map. Because Grenadiers have the infantry tag, I believe these guys can run faster as a result of that Incan upgrade. So you have Grenadiers running around the map with a 4.8 speed. These guys will outrange Ashes.
Yeah, I mean...
Outspeed Ashes, yeah.
Yeah, these units are pretty insane. I mean, I don't think they do outspeed Ashes with the Golden Pavilion on speed, unfortunately.
Oh, it's close because the Golden Pavilion on speed is only 5%, so 4.55. I think they still do because it'd be like 4.75 odd. It's like maybe 4.74 versus 4.8 of Grenadiers. I think Grenadiers slightly outrun, but it's very close to the point of it's not really noticeable.
Yeah, but problem I'm going to do is they do have that weird setup animation. Kaiser now going for a second Waterloo Foundry, so he's going to be pumping out those Grenadiers. But it looks like he's even going to age straight away.
To the 4th age, well, you might as well if you're not training units, you might as well. But Shogun Raid, you never know, might pick off 50 Vills. We can hope so.
Yeah, you never know.
But he's losing his bestiario to the Grenadiers. No vet Grens just yet.
Samurai
coming out from the daimyo! Oh my god! And what a play from A's. If he's down and out, just go for the Hail Mary raids, and he's getting one of the best raids of his AoE3 career here, right here. Rollins, just plus 10s everywhere. Kaiser up to the 4th age. I mean, the fact is, if you don't have any Vills at this point, but you don't have the eco to kind of make use of that 4th age, he does have one shipment in queue. I'm sure he does have. I have 3 rockets, so that should be enough to kind of stabilize. But funny enough, just to see Ronin pop out of a daimyo, you're thinking, oh, this is nice enough. But then along come 5 OP samurais just to wreck you.
I might even take down this town centre. That's how good they are. These units are insane. Minutemen do come out. These do not have the siege unit tag.
Oh wow, they
Kaiser
shredded.
now building manor houses. 5 Grenadiers do come out. They're not going to be too good against these. Veteran Grenadier does come in. No, these are going to dominate now. Just that difference. 5 more running come out, and
oh my god! You know what? It's cleaned up all his Grenadiers, and Kaiser has literally strolled his way, thinking, "Oh, I'll just go to the industrial and show my dominance." But actually, the 10 running still out on the field. This town centre, it's going to be close. I think he's going to get it in, but great, you just. Oh,
no.
it's not. He's just denied it. Oh.
Yeah, I think this is over now. Kaiser can't kill the army.
Let's go indeed, guys. We got Ronins tearing Kaiser's base. Kaiser floating 4,000 resources. The utter noob. What can I say? General floating 4,000 res. Not good enough. Has rebuilt his artillery foundry on the left hand side of the map. Does have his stable in the middle still going on, but 4 flaming arrows have now been trained. Intervention has been shipped as well, and we have
Pikeman.
Turkio Pikemans out from the Damia Masamune. These guys, well, the Pikemans are decent siege as well. So Ronin army, Pikeman. If you actually tear down all these manor houses as well, it'd be tough for Kaiserklein to go into wood now and build them again, but gives Japan so much XP just to send more shipments again. And how has Ace got himself into a favourable position at the moment? This is a crazy game.
Yeah. I really want to see A's get the Mapuche and get the siege attack, because these Ronin will have 180 siege attack.
Oh yeah, you're right with that.
And 5 flaming arrows shooting at that trading post.
I'm just looking at the chats before they go into 2 Ronin shipments appeared, and even Nagi Natters on the veteran Grenadiers. Culverin's coming out as well, but the Culverin's not going to be very useful here. They're going to get picked off straight away, and the Hatamoto Samurais, or the Ronin, just on top of the Grenadiers, these guys are going to go picked off straight away. Clone Musketeers getting picked off, and there's just so many of these high siege units remaining. But that artillery foundry is going, that outpost is going, and I hope this wasn't a rated game, because I think Kaiser's going to resign. Oh my god, I can't believe that's what I watched. This will go in history. What a funny trolley game that was. Wow. Wow. In the chat I've just seen the town centre go down to the 10 Ronin, but intervention, Nagy's catching the remainder of the villas, the houses, the army. I had it all in there. We have to be fair when we say Kaiserklein wasn't trying that game, and we cannot take this too seriously.
I guess Ayers is done as well. So he's saying GG's. So it was 2. So apparently it's just going to be a play all 4, which is odd, unless they do want to play another